Tim, I also want to go down the direction of you personally creating content. I know, as you mentioned earlier, you're a little bit moving away from that, but there are occasions where you're still posting some stuff up. And I saw, your wife's most recent vlog, your family vlog about um, having your kids and the whole family give up screen time for a year. And I thought that was so
Mm-hmm.
incredible. That was amazing because, these days we're so attached to these devices, to our phones and to our laptops and to our iPads. And I'm really curious just about what it's been like for you as a creator, but also as a father raising kids in this era of content consumption and content creation.
Yeah, it's a interesting balance because I want them to understand how media works because they're gonna need to know that as they grow up and just to be a fully contributing member of society. But on the other hand, so my wife and we have 7 kids in 8 years, and when you have 7 kids in 8 years, it's like, think of it. If I put this in business language, maybe I make it a little more understandable. Uh, if you have explosive growth in your business, a lot of systems break and a lot of things go wrong, but that doesn't mean that you should like put the business on hold and be like, you know what, we should just stay like $1 million company because we can only handle $1 million. And so instead you're motivated to try to figure things out and improve the systems. And so when you have 7 kids in 8 years, that's like explosive growth for a family.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe if you have 1 or 2 systems in place that like discipline systems, for example, that work when you have 1 or 2 kids, it doesn't work when you have 7 kids. If you can tolerate a little bit of whining and disobedience from like, if you have 1 or 2 kids, you can't tolerate a little bit of whining and disobedience when you have 7 kids. It's just not an environment anyone wants to live in. So in order to make that type of explosive family growth actually be a good space for us, we were coming to the end of our rope because my wife and I, as far as we knew, we were doing everything that we knew in terms of like for discipline for our kids and correction and building relationships and all the stuff you would hope a family does. And it wasn't working. We were still getting these, I'm bored, or so, like all the bickering and fighting and complaining and I don't know what to do with myself and just attitude and general problems overall. And it was getting to the point where my wife was like, we don't enjoy our family. So I reached out to a friend of mine who does a lot of clinical research on child development for the Child Protection Services Agency in the state of Ohio. And he's a dad, has a lot of kids like I do. And I'm like, how do you do this? And he's like, Tim, how much screen time do your kids get? I lied, actually. I told him, like, yeah, about a half hour a day. It's probably it's closer, probably like 2 hours a day. And he's like, well, there's your problem. I'm like, I lied. I said half hour. That's a problem. And I was like, I thought I was doing pretty good. And he's like, and he started explaining to me the science and what the research is showing about screen time impact on kids, which is it literally makes that's why the kids, or even us as adults, we go completely still on when we watch television, because the whole the body just shuts down, and even the brain can get so lazy that it just takes in whatever's being fed, and it doesn't have to work hard to be entertained. And when you do that especially with children, adults are a lot more resilient, but with children, they start getting, their brain doesn't actually develop the neural pathways it needs in order to have like problem solving skills. Problems such as, I'm bored, what do I do with myself? They don't know how to solve that problem. The only way they know how to solve that is to turn the screen back on. And as a dad who hopes that that my kids will one day be good employees or business owners, like, you got to learn how to solve problems. Like, that's a part of life. And he's like, the attitudes and the issues are just coming from the fact that their brains are just, they're not developing the neural pathways they need to develop problem solving skills and how to like actually be entertained. So he said the research, and it actually even like literally CAT scans show that if the kid has too much screen time, it doesn't even develop the right membranes that separate the right and left hemispheres of the brain. Like the brain just doesn't grow. So he said that detox usually takes about a year. He said you could maybe do it less if you wanted to, but he recommended going 1 year with no screen time and in order to fully detox. And I was like, we were at the end of our rope. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna take your advice. Like we're going to do this. We need a better home. And so we told our kids, that's the video you watched of us telling them like no screen time for a year. They took it fairly well. I don't know if they actually believed us or not. So, but we stuck with it. And the first week, 2 weeks actually was horrible. Like they were beside themselves. It was like taking the crack from the crack addict. I think maybe, I don't know, but it was even harder for my wife, who lost the only fallback that she knew at that point, which was turn on the screen, get them out of my hair, and let me just be able to get done the thing I need to get done. And it was really, really tough. But we knew that the guy told us we would be facing that. So we pushed through for about 2 weeks. It got better after 2 weeks, and by about 6 weeks in, the kids were no longer saying I'm bored. They were kind of entertaining themselves. And now we're at a point a year later where the fighting, the bickering, the complaining, the issues, the attitudes are almost gone. They're still human. They're still kids, right? So those things still pop up. But we experience very little of those things now. And they're entertained themselves. They just devour books. Which also actually became a problem because we're like, okay, you're still just laying around, so we had to set a limit on books actually too, which we didn't expect, but this guy recommended doing that. So, but yeah, they were cranking through library books. My 8-year-old read the entire Hardy Boys series, like all of them, like whatever 70 some of them there are, and fell in love with that series. So it was, it's been really, really good. So now we have reintroduced screen time, but it's not a get out of my hair thing. It's a relational family building activity. And we will watch one movie every other week, every other Saturday. And it's a family building time. Like we watch it together. We pick a movie everyone wants to watch. And then we watch it and we turn it off. And even at the end of it, the kids are, even now, they're still kind of like, I don't really like the way I feel after we turn it off. And we all kind of agree. And then we get up and we go play a board game or something together and try to get it out of our system. So, it's been very transformative for our family, and I would absolutely do it again. And it wasn't easy, but the things that are worth doing in life are typically the things that are the hardest things to do. And so I tell my kids, is like, if you're faced with a decision, you're not really sure what to do, pick the hardest option. That's usually the right one. And that is what we definitely leaned into with this, and the benefits. I mean, I could keep going on and on and on, but it has really transformed our family, and now we all like each other again. So.
Hey there, thank you so much for watching this excerpt of the Videocraft Show presented by Video Husky. If you're a content creator that struggles to organize script or ideas for your videos, I've got a resource for you. You can get a copy of our free script template. Using it can help you structure your videos and save you hours of time from filming in the process. To get it, all you have to do is just scroll down on this video, find the link in the description, and subscribe to our email list. From there, it'll get delivered straight to your inbox right after you sign up. And by the way, if you're enjoying these videos, can you do us just a quick favor and hit the like button before you go? And if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel too, to stay up to date with all the content that we're creating here on this channel. And finally, be sure to tune into the Videocraft Show presented by Video Husky on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever it is that you get your podcasts. We've got links in the description down below. If you want to watch or listen to the full episode, just tap the video right next to me over here, and that'll take you to the entire episode in which this excerpt is from. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.